All right. Welcome, viewers. This is Megan Christensen. I'm Credit Suite COO, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. I have my great friend Leanne here with us today.
Hi.
And she's from Pursuit of Profit.
That's right.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I asked her to come today, we work so hard at helping business owners establish their business credit reports and understanding what is on their business credit, how to get financing correctly, how to make sure they build that credibility in their business. And there's one aspect that we don't get to talk to business owners a lot about, and that's how to use the money that they get with their financing, but then also how to make sure they're generating a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that so important?
It's super important.
Kind of why we all go into business. And so I thought we would love to have you here as a guest speaker because this information is just so critical for business owners. And so we're just glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
And share your wisdom with us. Now, we only have about an hour, and I think, I'm sure everybody shares this thought that we'll have you on here, but there's going to be so much more we'll want to learn from you. So hopefully you'll come join us again.
I'm sure we'll make it a regular thing.
Okay, it's going to be fun. So let's talk about profit as a concept. So you were picking this business name, Pursuit of Profit.
Yeah.
Give me a little insight. As you were thinking about your business name, why did you land on that? Why does it mean something to you?
I think it means a lot to me because of the whole understanding. We're in America, so in America, it's understood that we have a right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And I love the idea of the word pursuit because what I find, and I don't know where you sit, if you see the same, but what I find is business owners are constantly in pursuit of excellence. They're constantly in pursuit of growing their business, improving their business. So there's a pursuit, and I like that it's an adjective and it's very descriptive of what it is like to be an entrepreneur in today's modern crazy world. So it's a pursuit. It's not an arrival. It's not, it's something that happens overnight. It's something that we are in motion towards. And every business owner, well, I would say most business owners that I've worked with over the years, they know intellectually that they want to be profitable. Like, they get that, but actually achieving that, whether it's on paper or actually realizing it, are sometimes two entirely different things. And so when it came down to saying, okay, I have a financial planning practice, and then I'm adding this side of my business where we are coaching business owners so they're so profitable that they can achieve what they want. It just was a natural marriage to name that Pursuit of Profit.
I love it.
Thanks.
Yes. So one thing that stood out to me with that name, as I work with business owners, specifically entrepreneurs, and I love entrepreneurs.
Me too.
Yes, I think you are one. I am also one, but I have a banking background, and somewhat those are polar opposites that fight each other.
Yeah, you're a unicorn.
I think when we first met, you were slightly concerned I was a banker because you don't have the fondest memories of those interaction with bankers, and I totally get that, right? So I'm not, maybe I am a little bit of a unicorn, I'm using your phrase there, not quite a banker, more entrepreneurial, but entrepreneurs aren't always thinking about finances or how that decision will impact their profitability. They have this ability to dream really big. And so as you're working with a business, does that come into play, that entrepreneurial spirit, and how to get them to start looking at that profit? Is that a mindset?
It's a mindset and it's a behavior shift.
Okay.
So as much as I'd love to say that I see people come through my practice all day, every day, which I do, and we're working on their finances, the very first thing, hold on, ready? Very first thing that we do is we say, accounting sucks, because it does, and we throw it out. Like, we need our accounting one day a year. when we file our taxes. Every other time through the rest of our business life, looking at our P&L is like looking only in a rearview mirror. And by the time we're looking behind us, it's too late to react or change. And so there's this real interesting blend where like people, when they're thinking about the finances of their business, they're thinking about how they need to increase sales, or they need to get more customers, or a lot of these other things. They're not necessarily thinking until they get it in my space, then things start to shift in a mindset and behavior. They're not thinking in terms of what they're keeping. They're thinking in terms of how much are we making? And sometimes we're thinking, how much are we spending? But I like to flip that on its head and say, that is not the focus here. What we have to focus on is what we keep, right? Not just looking at income, not just looking at expenses. So I find that I'm on my soapbox about this.
Go for it.
But I think that entrepreneurship is very lonely. It can be very disillusioning. And I think a lot of people have this like deep love of their business, and they believe in it. Like they believe in it so much that they're almost like in blind, crazy, stupid love with their business. So they aren't able to see it objectively, and they don't see themselves in it objectively, which is wonderful, because that is exactly how entrepreneurs survive the hardships of running a business. So on one hand, that's exactly where entrepreneurs need to be. Then on the other, where I see people really struggle is they're like, well, I started a business so that I could make a living doing what I love, or do my great work that I'm supposed to do with my life. And I need to be able to pay my bills, and I need to be able to pay my employees, and I need to. So that list gets really long. And before we know it, like we look up and we're alone. Like we can't really talk to hardly anyone. So we find ourselves in, I call it the financial fog. We're in the financial fog. We can't see 2 feet in front of us. And so we just keep shuffling forward. And a lot of times businesses fall off the cliff. 80% of businesses fail. So and it's not because they don't have passionate business owners. And it's not even because they don't know how to monetize their skills, talents, or products, right? It's something about that equation of what do we do with money in business? And when we're in the financial fog and we don't know how to turn right or left, and we go meet with somebody like you, who quite frankly, with a banking background, would be seriously intimidating to most people, right?
I am rather scary.
No, she's lovely. But a lot of times when people sit in my office, no, every day, a day does not go by that I don't hear somebody say, yeah, well, we just, I tried talking to a CPA, and a CPA just like didn't want to help me figure this mess out. Like, how do I get profitable? CPAs don't help with that. They help with taxes, getting your taxes done. And then on the other hand, we have people that come to me, somebody like me, like a CFP, and say, okay, hey, we need some help with our business. And financial planners are going to say, no, come see me when you have $250,000 to invest.
Yes.
So where do you get help? Where do you get help?
Right here.
Here, yes. So I have a great practice, but truthfully, I mean, I work with people all over the country, and there is just nobody doing this work. And I can tell you why.
Why is that?
Oh, it's really hard.
I didn't know you were going to go here, so.
It's really hard. And people are really, really ashamed. The subject of money is, even in the business sense, you'd think it'd be different in business, because business is business, but it's not. People are ashamed. Like, they think that talking about their money is dirty a lot of times. There's a lot of like childhood things that we connect about value and safety and worth and worthiness. A lot of these things are emotionally connected to money. So people would actually prefer to talk about the intimate details of their sex life than to talk about money, especially if they feel like they've been in the fog. So it takes a lot of vulnerability. And it takes courage for a business owner to say, okay, good, we're making money, but we don't know where it went. So,
which is very often how it plays out.
More often than not. So that's a long answer to your short question. I don't even remember the question.
I like it. I had some thoughts as you were talking. I'd never made this connection in my mind, but it's like it's like a business is somewhat like a child. A child can almost do no wrong in
Yes.
the eyes of a mother,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we love them through and through. And sometimes we're even blinded to those possible issues. And so it's really difficult to look at the business and say, hey, we potentially have some areas we need to dig into that don't look as pretty.
Yeah.
That's a really hard conversation.
It is.
So with that, I'm laughing because my accounting department is just 2 doors down.
They're not here today, though.
We didn't invite them into the office today.
They're like, Leanne's coming. Get out.
Get out, get out. So a lot of companies, we have accounting, right?
Yes.
And we have our bookkeeping, and I have my tax accountant.
Yep.
Do they still have value? Do I still need
Oh,
them?
yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. Here's, at least in my practice, the way that when I'm working with a business, we're like, look, listen, we still have to get our books done because IRS makes the rules, we just play the game. So one of those rules is that we have to have our own accounting for where our money came from and where it went to. So I've walked through plenty of audits with people. And when we've walked through those audits, a lot of times they're like, oh, don't worry, I'll just print off my bank statements and that'll be fine. No, it's not fine. So we do need an accounting. I call it your books. Like your books are your accounting of where your money came from and where it went to.
Okay.
Then in order to get our taxes done, obviously we need to know what we made by category and what we spent by category so they can get to the bottom line and tax us. So we need those things, but it's like saying, let's just imagine you're in rush hour traffic in Seattle, right? You have 6 lanes of traffic going this way, you have 6 lanes of traffic going this way, and you are trying to get to a concert, somewhere important, right? When you're in rush hour traffic, can you imagine for a moment not having a windshield? Like your windshield is completely covered, all you have is your rear view mirror. So
I ride a motorcycle, and so I can really actually envision that, right?
You ride a motorcycle?
I do, for fun. That's a secret, of which now we just told everyone.
That's awesome.
But no, so yes, it's that wind is intense.
Yeah.
It takes all I've got. It's exhausting.
I believe you.
Yes.
Wow, so you're a banker biker lady.
This is a topic for a completely different day.
They're going to edit this out.
Yes, that's okay. But yes, but that wind is really, really intense.
Yeah, I imagine.
Okay, so keep going with your analogy.
My analogy is you're sitting in your car trying to get somewhere, your windshield is completely covered, and all you have is a rear view mirror to navigate yourself through traffic. You would crash. There's no way you can look behind you to navigate forward.
No.
And so that's why in my practice we're talking about how, like, hey, you need your bookkeeping, you need that done, and you need to have, your QuickBooks files and all of those things done so you can get your taxes done. But reality is those things, financial statements and your profit and loss, is literally looking in the rearview mirror. And when you're looking in the rearview mirror to navigate a business forward, it doesn't work, which is why, one of the many reasons why 80% of businesses fail. Okay. And the number one reason businesses fail is money issues.
Yes.
So then I think it's pretty logical to say, okay, well, if this is a problem, how do we solve it? Like, why do businesses fail because of money? It's not because they don't have accountants or bookkeepers that are helping them. It's because you cannot navigate forward looking behind you.
It's so difficult because I've been in those shoes where I'm looking at the P&L for last month. I'm at day 10 into this month. Yep. And where am I going to be in 20 days? And trying to put that together. Yeah. Forecasting and I don't know how you condense this, but what's the secret sauce? It's hard. It's really hard to do.
It's really hard to do.
To take that data that I get from my accountant and my bookkeeping team and to make that impactful for where I'm going.
Yep. So what we do in my practice is, believe it or not, when I work with a business, my job is to work myself out of a job so that I'm done.
This is a great business plan. We should maybe talk about it.
Right? So I will work with one business for 3 months. Like they come see me every week online or in my office for every month, every week for 3 months.
Uh-huh.
And for the first month, what I literally do with them is I lock them in a room with me and we get rid of the fear and we start looking at where money is coming from, where it's going.
Okay.
And so we're actually looking at cash flow.
Okay.
Which is a lot different than looking in a rearview mirror and a balance sheet or profit and loss. They're very, very different things.
Yes.
Business owners are more comfortable, sort of, if they've come to my office, they've gotten real with, okay, I'm gonna get naked financially, and we're just gonna go through this process.
Do you have a psychiatry chair?
No, I need one.
You really do need one, right?
I do need
with
one.
tissues.
People tell grown men cry in my office every day. It's so true.
Because this is their baby.
It's their baby.
They've put their life on the line.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I can only imagine. Sorry.
People tell me all the time, they're like, you're like a financial therapist.
Yes.
Or you're like a financial counselor. I'm like, whatever works. Let's just get you profitable.
Yes.
So yes, we look at cash flow.
Okay.
And it feels like people are really resistant to hand me their credit card statements or give me their bank statements, because I think that they think that I'm going to be like looking through and going, oh my word, what is this?
What are you doing?
Excuse me, what are you doing? Like,
yes.
There's none of that. What I'm looking for is patterns. And so I'm not connected to the business, right? So I start looking and I'm looking and I start to see like really interesting patterns emerge.
Yes.
And we just make note of it. I'm like, okay. And then after we've looked at where the money's coming from and where it's going to, then we begin to look at what I call profitable expenses and BS, otherwise known as profit-less expenses, like expenses that we have in our business that sometimes we have because we think it's a write-off, and so we justify this for that. And so the secret sauce is having a business owner understand that there is an enormous difference between profitable spending in a business and BS spending in a business. And once we get really clear about those, then we can start to create a spending plan for them that gives them the roadmap to move to profit.
So what's an example of a, did you say BS expense?
Oh, yeah. Are we allowed to say that here?
I think we are. What's an example of a BS expense?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I don't know, because it depends on everybody.
Do you want me to think of some good ideas?
Well, sure, I do. But I'm being facetious because when I put these expenses on a virtual whiteboard for people, my favorite is my fee. This is my favorite, right? So I'm like, all right, you've been working with me for 2 months. So my fee, are we going to put it in the BS category or are we going to put it in the profit category, like profitable spending? And they kind of hem and they haw, and then they make the decision. So when I say I don't know, it's because I want the business owner to understand it for them. Okay. But I can give you examples of what I've seen other people do.
Yes.
Besides my fee, which is often put in the BS category. And let me just say this. We define a profitable spending or the profitable spending as every dollar that we spend that we know with full certainty, we can see return on investment. And we frame return on investment this way. Okay. So I'm a financial planner. And so there is this thing in the world of, investing and that kind of thing where we understand what something costs. So if we buy a stock or a mutual fund, we bought it for X number of dollars and then we sold it for X number of dollars. Are we up? Are we down? So in that situation, everybody knows how to evaluate whether or not we made money or we lost money. But I can tell you this, nobody has ever come to me as a wealth manager and put a check in my hand and said, oh, honey, I really hope you go lose all of this money for me. It's never that thought. No. It's always a thought. There's always two expectations. One, that I'm going to grow that money. Okay. And two, I'm hopefully not going to lose it, right? Yes. Those are the two unspoken expectations. And so when we look at that in terms of investing, it makes a lot of sense to say, all right, I spent this much and I expect this kind of return. So we use that as our conversation to frame like, okay, let's decide what your profitable expenses are. And your profitable expenses are ones that you can say with 100% clarity, I spent this money and it brings return on investment every single month. Okay. So, and there's a process to uncovering that, but.
So like, for instance, I'm going to grab something off my desk here.
Okay.
So this fancy thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Could we diagnose whether this is a BS expense or not?
We absolutely can. Can you quantify it with 100% certainty that because You spent $4,000 on that, probably, or more. And
probably 3, but yes.
Okay.
But but I have generated, I've done work from Hawaii on this thing. I've worked from Canada.
Yeah.
I've worked on mountaintops with this thing.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I talk about it, it has a lot of great memories. I've done a lot of work in cool places with this.
Yeah.
So does that mean this was worth the investment?
Is it worth it to you?
Yes.
Did you see return on investment?
I think I did.
Have you made money off of that machine?
I think, yes, because I wouldn't have been able to work in Hawaii without it.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfect example of a profitable expense.
All right, I'm gonna
Perfect example. Another profitable expense that we see people, I see people categorize as their team. They're like, okay, payroll is 100% profitable. Or I'm coaching a big restaurant chain right now, and I was actually really surprised. They hate their lease so much for the places that they lease, right? And they just think it's just crap. But when we redefine, this is an expense that we know we can see return on. They put their lease in the profitable expense category.
Isn't that interesting?
And everybody categorizes their own spending differently.
Okay.
So let's talk about some BS expenses.
Okay, I'd love that. Yes. Thank you for letting me
see if
that one counted.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So BS expenses are usually categorized by, all right, well, we can't say it's a profitable expense, not directly. Doesn't mean that it's a bad business decision. But believe me when I tell you, when we start sorting people's spending and seeing their behavior financially, by the time we're getting to the whiteboard and we're saying this is BS and this is profitable, business owner just completely has cleaned up their act. So it's great. So by the time we get there, we're saying, okay, profitless expenses or BS expenses, we can't say they bring return on investment, but we do want them or we need them for our business. So we see meals and entertainment in this category, right? If you and I go to lunch, which I hope we will.
I think we're going to after this. I think we've earned it after this. Yes.
So when we go to lunch,
yes,
we can justify that we're going to talk shop, and it's a legitimate business expense. But is it a profitable expense? It's up to you. Each business is different, right?
Right.
So meals and entertainment, it gets put there. A lot of times I see things like, oh, we're at your company where we talk about credit. So talking about loan payments. A lot of times people are like, okay, well, I'm putting my loan payment over there. And so we just start sorting them that way. Another common one that I see is travel, leasing your car, all kinds of stuff like that. So once we get really clear about profitable expenses, we can see return on investment. BS expenses, no return on investment, but maybe necessary for our business. Once that's clear, then the business owner has two very important things. They have a gas pedal and they have a brake. So where I see people being able to actually make a meaningful difference is that they know where to put more investment and they know where to invest less. And that happens as a process of discovery over time.
So it's taking that time as a business owner, and I bet this is really interesting to step back and look at their expenses as they truly are, not as they guess them up here, and see that total and then defining it. I bet that's so powerful. Though it seems simple in concept, not something I would dare say a majority of business owners are doing on a fairly, how often do you recommend they go through this practice?
You mean the practice of looking at their expenses?
Yes, expenses. Because lo and behold, a year later, that picture could look very different. You could have accumulated more.
Yes. So it's hard for me to say in general terms because every business is different, but
that is rough.
It's rough. But I would say by the time somebody has worked with me for 3 months and I know the ins and outs of their business, I actually consider myself I just think it's my business when I'm done. I'm like, this is my baby too.
So fun.
It's so fun. I'm like, I know so many things about so many businesses. I digress. So what tends to happen is they call me with questions because now they feel like they have an advocate. So before they hire, a lot of times they'll call me and say, we're thinking about doing this, or I had this call came in this week. Guy goes, hey, you know what? I'm turning into my Lexus. I'm gonna get a Tesla, and I can do that on the business, right? And I'm like, do you have to? Right? So sometimes it's about just communication, but more often than not, once somebody's done 3 months in my space and they understand how this works, they do it for themselves.
Okay. Is it ever okay to buy a Tesla?
Always okay to buy a Tesla.
Okay.
Just don't buy the stock right now. Just kidding.
That's well, that thought came to me.
I'm not allowed to give investment advice.
No, but that thought came to me for clarification. You know, you talked about it can be very lonely to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. You have these team members, you know, and they're supporting their families, and so many people rely on the decisions that you make. You have your customers that rely on the decisions that you make.
That's right.
And when you really think about it, that's a lot of weight on someone's shoulders.
Yeah.
And there does come a time where, you know, they've put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and I think they want to feel some of that reward for them personally. They've made so many sacrifices.
Yeah.
And so that's where that question came from. And really, it also comes from my banking background. We always used to have a little joke about doctors, and I love doctors, don't. But they often made some terrible financial decisions right out of school, right? And so that behavior may exist also with entrepreneurs. And so that's why I wanted to ask, is it ever okay to go? Because doctors we'll see them come out of their schooling and they want to get the house, the car, the whole reason they did all that schooling, but they want it now.
Yeah.
You know, is it ever okay to treat yourself as a business owner? What do you think?
I absolutely think yes.
Okay.
I've seen 26,000 entrepreneurs come through my courses, classes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a lot of people to see.
It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of budgets to look at and a lot of trends. And so when you do a lot of that, like I have, you just see stuff. And one of the things that I think that people are really afraid of is if they're going to come see me, they're thinking I'm going to take all of their discretionary spending away from them. And they kind of get into this like protection mode. And that's not what my practice is about. My practice is about making sure a business owner is very profitable and they're doing the right things by themselves and by their employees. And so if that means we're buying a Tesla, then do it, as long as it doesn't, make your business unstable, or we're not actually being honest about whether or not the business needs to have a Lexus. The business doesn't need to have a Lexus, but the business owner may. And so I do think that our businesses should enrich our lives. And I think our businesses are not just a means to an end to pay our bills. They matter.
Okay.
They're about quality of life as well.
So I was going through that same cycle that your customers go through, where you mean I can't spend anything ever?
No, I want you to spend with a plan. Go spend, right?
Okay. But with a plan. And one of the things that it's going to feel like heresy to you, I just know. Okay, I'm preparing
but
myself.
I know, because I'm talking to a banker. But I have found over the 15 years that I've been doing this that we understand profit in a context of income minus expense.
Yes.
That's what business schools taught us if we went. A lot of the business owners never even took an accounting class, so they don't know that. It's just hearsay, right?
Yes. They Google it.
They Google it. Their CPA tells them that this is it right here.
Yes.
But in reality, most people do not run their businesses that way. That's not how they think. And so one of the things that I'm adamant about, and people, it's almost like a massive step of trust for them once we get there. But I have business owners take profit off the top of every dollar that comes in. Okay. Because we redefine profit as profit is what you don't spend on your business. Because a business, a Tesla, and anything else that we want, a business will consume, it's like kids, like you said, it will consume 100% of your time your energy, and your resources. And so why can't we throw accounting out and say that's not working for 80% of the businesses that fail and have a new formula? And so I have business owners that take profit and they send it to, we call it sending it to safety. We take it right off the top and send it to safety.
Okay.
It goes in its own account, literally, a separate bank account for
So
profit.
it comes in, you're doing the math, you're sending it to safety.
It makes them really nervous.
That is really scary, but sounds kind of nice.
It's wonderful.
To put it in its place.
To put it in its place and to call it what it is.
Yes.
And then what we do is at the end of a quarter, we make a business decision. So what often usually happens if we're running income minus expense equals profit model is we don't get to the profit because our business is that greedy child that is taking all of our time, money, and resources. Right?
Yes.
Just if you give a business $1 million, it will spend it. It just will.
Yes.
So that said, we get really truthful about that as a problem. And when we get really truthful about that, then we can realize this is just a matter of behavior. It's a choice for a business owner to say, I'm going to do it differently. And it's a big step. But after that money is over there and it's been sitting there for like a quarter, then we make a actual conscious decision instead of accidentally spending our profit, which is what people do.
Right.
And they have no idea where all their money goes.
It wasn't a conscious choice.
It wasn't a conscious choice. It just happened, right?
Yes.
So now if we're at the end of a quarter, I have my business owners make a decision. Are you going to take that money home and distribute it to yourself as a nice fat bonus? Or are you going to do a capital investment? What are we going to do here? Like, what do we need? What does the business need right now? So I actually had a phone call. I'll tell you about 2 phone calls.
Okay.
So I'm crazy.
I love it.
I love the people that I kind of kick them out, like, you're done, go away.
Yes.
But then I love to like surprise them. So I'll make phone calls, and I made phone calls last week.
Okay.
So I talked to this one guy that I finished coaching him a year ago. I called him and said, hey, how much is in your profit account right now? And he goes, I'm like, how much is in your profit account right now?
Oh no.
And he's like, $1.04. I was like, $1.04. Well, this is a multi-million-dollar business.
Yes.
$1.04. What's going on here? So as soon as he had me on the phone, he was like, I haven't been taking my profit first like you taught me to do. I'm like, why? Like, this is like, why? He's like, I don't know. I just forgot. I got lazy. I'm like, you need to get back on the horse. And he is. So that does happen. Like they're gung-ho about it. And like, yes, I love this idea.
Yes.
But then that behavior of my business needs all of my money.
Yes.
It's such a strong habit.
Yes.
And the muscle memory is so there.
Very much
That
so.
this is why my client had $1.04 in his profit account. Another call that I made last week, how much is in your profit account? And she's like, let me look. So she looks, she's like, oh, I got like $27,000 in there. I'm like, well, I didn't know what your revenues are, because she's about $300,000 in revenue. That sounds to me like you're not taking your profit. And she's like, no, I'm not taking it. Like, why? And she's like, I don't want to just like it in there. I just want it to be there. So another really strong behavior that we find is that people are afraid. They don't know how to take the profit out of their business. They don't know how to pay themselves. They don't know how to get it out, because there's like this artificial sense of security.
Yes.
Of like, oh, I've got a big account. I'm good. What if a bad day comes?
Yes.
Which is why we have to plan for profit. And then, believe it or not, I have to teach people to take their profit. It has to be taught.
Isn't that interesting? I think it does tap into that entrepreneurial superpower of being somewhat selfless to get that idea across the finish line. We talked about Tesla, and we can laugh about certain things there, but I mean, sleeping under the table because he's working nonstop. There is this somewhat selfless, obsessed, if you will, mindset that's involved. And so realizing maybe it's even that imposter syndrome where I don't feel deserving.
Yeah. Oh, that's so real.
It's a real thing.
Oh, it's so real. At least from where I sit.
There we go.
Right? Because when people come to me, they are opening up about what's going well in their business and what's going wrong in their business. And it's really vulnerable. It's really, really vulnerable.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of one business owner who is, I would call an accidental entrepreneur, like somebody who never intended to be a business owner. It just happened to him, right?
Uh-huh.
And before he knew it, he had 30 employees and things were crazy. And and he just sat in my office and we were talking about like, what is possible? Like, what can you do differently as a result? Like, you are giving people jobs. Like,
Yes.
what you're doing matters in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sat there and he's like, I don't feel like that. I still feel like a failure. I still feel like a poor fat kid, is what he said. I was like, you are not.
Interesting is that?
Yeah. Like, it's like we talked about earlier, how there's that real connection, emotional connection with money specifically, about our value, our worth.
I'm going to buy you a psychiatry chair.
You
need one.
I know. I should take some psychology classes again.
It's such a big part of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really impacts a business owner's behaviors.
Yeah.
And we're our own worst enemy in many ways.
And we're alone.
Very alone. And
like, what are you gonna do when you're struggling with your business? I've been there. And you have no one to talk to.
Yeah.
And when you go to some event or you're at a restaurant, somebody walks up and says, "Hey, how's business?" What can you say? Can you say, "Oh my gosh, I have no idea how I'm gonna cover payroll in 2 weeks. I'm freaking out about that. Oh my gosh, I have a $40,000 L&I payment that I've got to make to the government." You can't say any of that. You can't say that you're stuck. You can't.
No.
All you can say is, "It's awesome." And so we're posturing this. And that posturing is partially rooted in our unlimited belief in our business, even if we don't believe in ourselves. We know our business can. We just know it can.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, that posturing, we carry it with us everywhere. The second we step out, because everybody assumes that we have more money than we do because we own a business.
Yes.
Everybody assumes that we have unlimited free time because we own a business and that we don't really have a schedule or whatever. And so you go into your city or you go around and you're always wearing that burden.
Yes.
And you're wearing it alone. And you sometimes can't even talk to your spouse about it.
Right.
Because if they felt that you were afraid, especially about money, things can go really south really quick on that subject. So, wow, I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but the posturing is real and it's part of the loneliness, I think. A lot of people feel.
But I think business owners need to hear that because then they can connect with it. Yeah. And they may even feel those things and not realize that it is that. Yeah. And that they're carrying that weight. Yeah. Just this last weekend, on Friday, we had this amazing thing happen for our business. And I all of a sudden felt this big weight off my shoulders. And I thought, I didn't even realize I was carrying that weight until it was removed. Yeah. And I just felt like $1 million. I think there are times as business owners, we don't even realize what we are carrying. Yeah. Until we actually get a quiet moment to think. Yeah. And that's just so interesting to me. So yeah, we went there.
I love it. Well, I think it's important for people to know that they're not alone. Yeah. And that there is help. Like they have you for help. They have me for help. There's places to get help, but you just have to ask for it and not be ashamed and yes, put your big girl panties on and get some help.
Yes, definitely. I think that's a great thing. I think asking for help and realizing that's not a failure. It's interesting as I hire new team members and I see all these great personalities come in, a behavior that I'll see that they do since we grow so quickly, it's inevitable that a team member will have to delegate many of the responsibilities they're doing right now in 4 months. Wow. Or 6 months at the longest. Yeah. And so we have to really have this conversation about, hey, these things that you are about to fill this really strong ownership to, and that you're going to love and own, and you're going to wear them as your badge of honor. Like, I do these things and I do them well. You're going to have to give those to somebody else, and you will be picking up new ones. And that's a hard thing.
It is a hard thing.
And I think that same thing happens with business owners when they raise their hand and say, actually, I do need help. I need to delegate some of this to somebody that's an expert in that area. Yeah,
that's a great analogy.
So
I think that there's no shame in asking for help, obviously. But one of the things that, just by observation, human beings coming through my office.
Yes.
I live in a conference room and talking to people all day long. And what I actually think it's one of my greatest privileges when I reflect on my years of this work. I'm like, that is my great work. That's my contribution to the business world. Like this thing I do.
Yes.
But the thing that happens is a business owner stops whatever they're doing and they come walk in my office or meet me on Zoom and they spend 1.5 hours with me being honest and working on their business. Like they don't get to be, they're not checking emails. Their team members aren't walking in. It's like a moment of like, they exhale because like you're talking about that burden.
Yes.
You didn't even maybe know you're carrying it in this area of finance and being profitable and making sure your company is really strong financially is something that I think all business owners are like, I'm really bad at that. They have a lot of shame about it. Like, I don't know how to fix that. I don't want to. I don't like it. There's a lot of stories that go with that.
Yes.
But those stories sit down and they're quiet for 1 hour a week and then they leave. And my favorite thing is that people who don't even like talking about money, they hate finances. They hate it. They hate it. They tell me at the end of 3 months, like, what am I gonna do now? Like, this is the thing. I looked forward to this every single week, right? But I think it was simply a matter of the pause. That it's really hard, especially for me as a business owner, to say, oh yeah, it's a profitable decision to like feed my mind. It's a profitable decision to take an hour of my workday and read a book to make myself better at what I'm doing or go to a conference. It's incredibly difficult to stop and work on your business. Yes. But especially when it comes to finances, it's an area where you have to ask for help and you have to pause.
Yes.
Exhale and do the work. It won't be hard if you just have some help getting through it.
I like it. We should look at the time because we could go forever.
I know. How long have we been talking?
I think just under an hour.
Oh, that was easy. We've got lots more to talk about.
Well,
next time.
Next time for sure. So I want to get to some tidbits that we could pass to those watching or those watching later if they're not watching this live. But I'm trying to think of what those best tidbits are. And you probably have them in your back pocket. Okay. But it could be things, how do I choose how much, what percentage of profitability that I'm putting away? Or it could be something like, how do I understand the profitability? Do I look at the profitability per product? You know, do I look at that? Do I look at it overall as a lump sum? I mean, you probably have way more. But those just popped in my head. What are some nuggets that would be helpful for business owners that are watching?
Okay, so first I want to talk about unprofitable habits as nuggets. So number one, you have to it takes money to make money out of your business vocabulary forever. If you want to get to the place where you're really profitable, that just gives your business permission to spend. And as we've talked about, we need to know if our spending is profitable or if it's BS spending. And
Did you watch my face change?
No, I was looking at the camera.
I've said it a couple times. Not often, but I have, yes.
I mean, I get it philosophically. I get why people say that. But it is a really dangerous mindset that I'll find like I battle it with people all the time. So we have to get rid of that. Okay. The other mindset is that we have to stop trying to stick it to the man. Okay. So IRS is the IRS.
They're real.
And it's not good to take business losses just so we don't pay taxes. So more often than not, when you're trying to stick it to the man and you're using it's a write-off mentality, it's actually you're just sticking it to yourself. And
I understand that because I was a banker. That part I understand. Yes,
you get that. Yes. And then the other mindset that you really want to change and shift, the thing that will actually keep you profitless, is to take a look at one bank account and make your business decisions off of a bank account and its balance. Okay. Doesn't work. There has to be a different way. So there's some quick little financial tidbits about mindsets that are profitless. They don't work for us. Mindsets that are very profitable are understanding that all of your expenses are not equal. Okay. Some are profitable, Some are profitless or BS expenses. And when you understand them and you know how to use them in your business, then you will have a gas pedal and you will have a brake. And you will know where to put more time and money and where you need to slow down so that you get where you want to go.
Yes.
So that's one very profitable mindset. Another profitable mindset that I just want to encourage people to do is if you feel really stuck and you've looked for advice, usually the advice is you just need to increase sales and you just need to reduce expenses. Okay, that's such crap. That's totally
very vague.
it's totally a gimmick, right? Totally a gimmick. So what I like to see people do is I call it siloing. So we break a business apart by looking at the different parts of a business. So like, where do we make money? These 4 different categories. Can you take each part of your business, each little silo, and figure out how much money is coming into that silo and how much money is going out, and is it by itself profitable?
Yes.
When I've done this silo work with people, we have literally shut down departments of a business many times because we found that we thought that was the most profitable part of our business because it's what brought in the most money, but it was profitless, completely profitless.
Yes.
So if you feel really stuck, maybe break that silo work, get in there and do some silo work. If you need help, I can do that help with you. So siloing is very important. And that way you can look at the different parts of your business and hold it accountable for return.
Okay.
Another big quick tidbit is, oh boy, I wish I had like an hour for just this. Another one is I really want you to think like an investor when you're running a business. So investors think in terms of money put into something and we expect growth on the other end of that. And we need to realize that there's a huge difference between profit on paper versus profit in reality.
Yes.
Which is why we've said the P&L is the worst advisor ever. So if you're going to think like an investor with your business, then you have to get it in your guts that you need to realize your return on investment. So if we buy a house for $300,000 and we sit on it and we live in it for a little while, and then we look at Zillow and Zillow says that our house is now worth $400,000, that is unrealized profit. It's just profit on paper. It's not till we sell it, right?
Is it actually?
Is it actualized? Yes. And so when it comes to profitable behaviors for business owners, if I can only give you one, it's this one. You got to learn how to realize your profits. Profit on paper, not the same.
I love that analogy because it made it really real. I'd never thought about it that way. Light bulb for me today.
Good.
So
that was valuable.
I really have just enjoyed this.
Me too.
So
Let's do it again.
We should keep doing this. But here at Credit Suite, our goal is really to help our business owners succeed and to help them find the financing they need. But this is such an important aspect of that. We don't talk about it as much as I would like to. And that's why I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
And to also meet with a fellow woman entrepreneur.
I know.
I don't bring that up often, but it's not often I get to work with another woman in this space.
Especially in finance.
Yes.
Like only 20% of women who go into finance make it.
Yes. And I think that just diversity, it makes us all stronger. I think having all personality types in the mix just makes us stronger. So it's a pleasure getting to work with you.
Likewise.
And, I just hope you take this hour and this time with us to pick up some tidbits that will make your business even stronger. If nothing else, we were hopefully somewhat entertaining.
Or we entertained ourselves.
That's true. But I'm just grateful that you all took this time to join us today. You can how can they find you?
Easiest way to find me is inpursuitofprofit.com.
Okay.
And I do offer a consultation if somebody just wants to raise their hand and say, I don't know what you're about, but I'd like to at least have a conversation. I try to send people out the door with a lot of value as a result of that first hour together.
Very good. And then you all know how to find us. We're Credit Suite. You can find us on YouTube and at creditsuite.com. And you can always reach out to either of us if you need questions, any help, guidelines, or any tips, feedback. I'm tripping over my toes right now. But anyway, both teams can offer consultations, and we're always here for you. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. Take care.